Russia just voted again. But if you watched this election day closely, it felt like not really like an election, less like an election, and more like a performance. Actors on stage, lines rehearsed, and the ending known way before the curtain went up. Tonight I'll show you how a country that once experimented with real political competition slowly unlearned voting step by step, rule by rule, lever by lever, until Russia arrived at what I call the election theater. No slogans, just mechanics. On September 14th, there was another voting day, and let's go backstage and find out what the hell happened. Howdy, everyone. My name is Konstantin. Welcome to Inside Russia, where usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian. As usual, you will not find any BS, propaganda, or lies on this channel. Instead, you will find lots of truth, common sense, and logic. And emotions, because I'm a human being, and history, because that's what we are going to be talking today. For some time. Welcome to the grand show of Russian political elections. It took me a while to find the right definition that describes current political process well. Show or performance describes best. There's zero political competition in Russia, and you just cannot have elections without political competition. So current elections are a big farce, and the results are predetermined. Before I tell you what happened just a couple days ago, on Sunday, on September 14th, on Russian political landscape, and that's really worth learning about, trust me, you will like it. I want to give you some of the modern Russian history. You will understand today better if you know what happened yesterday. There are four distinctive periods in the political life of Russia: the 90s, 2000s, the teens, and 20s. I call them the freedom years, the golden years, or the years of control, then the years of controlled democracy, and the era of political theater that I think is going to stay here for a very long time. Now, let's start with the 90s, the freedom years. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, Russia suddenly found itself in uncharted waters. For the first time in 70 years, people could actually vote in elections that weren't predetermined by the Communist Party. It started with Gorbachev, who gave Russians glasnost, the right to disagree with the party line and publicly argue without fear of prosecution. And Russians loved it. The elections in early 90s, when the USSR fell apart, were messy, they were chaotic, but they were real. Most Russians were eager to take part in the political process of the new country because for the first time in history, Russian people felt empowered. Well, there's a personal story I'd like to share with you about a senator, a Russian senator. Meet Dmitry Yemelyanov, one of Russia's powerhouse senators. He's been the senator from Rostov-on-Don since 1995, and I actually remember well his campaign. It seemed like a fairy tale at the time. Yemelyanov was 27 years old when he became politically active and got himself elected into Rostov City Assembly. 27-year-old, back in the USSR, at the very end of the USSR when Glasnost was already at full speed. Then Yemelyanov participated in Russia's first parliament election in 1993. And you know what? I actually remember well. Look at this guy. He is old, overweight now, but I remember him differently. He was a young, brilliant attorney, graduated from Rostov State University, from the law school. I didn't even look up the history of Yemelyanov. I remember from those times. He was a sensation. In 1993, I remember this 30-year-old guy, very fit, very pleasant, smiled a lot. One of us, really. He was walking door to door, introducing himself, telling of his political agenda, telling what he wanted to achieve. He had no money, no political party behind him, no force of any kind. He was just one of us, one of the people. I, back then, just turned 17, and he was an example to me. He was the embodiment that anything could happen in Russia. Anything now. That we are the people mattered for the first time in 70 years. Now, in 1993 election, he came in the second place, and he didn't get elected into the parliament. But in 1995, 2 years later, in the next election, this guy became one of two senators from Rostov-on-Don. Now, he's still the senator, so he's been in Russian parliament for 30 years. And you know what? Mikhail Yemelyanov has changed a lot. He's changed along the way. Power corrupted him. He participated in quite a few processes that I, as Russian, feel ashamed of. He introduced laws that help Putin, those stepping stones I keep on talking about. He was a part of changing Russia's constitution in 2020. I don't really even want to talk about that, but when he was young, he was making himself as a politician, and the beauty of it was any one of us could follow his steps and could repeat. And that was hope for all of us. The freedom years, the great experiment. Boris Yeltsin became the face of this new experiment. In the early 90s, Russia held parliamentary elections where dozens of parties competed against each other. Liberals, communists, nationalists, reformers. I even remember there was a party of beer drinkers. Yes, and it was an official political party, and they participated in the parliament elections. It was a wild political marketplace. Nothing like today's sterile ballot papers with just a few approved names. The presidential election of 1996 is the best example of how competitive and uncertain things were. Yeltsin's popularity had collapsed by early 1996 because of economic disaster. There was a transformation period from communism to capitalism that never goes smoothly. Unpaid salaries, hyperinflation, that destroyed Yeltsin. He was almost certain to lose to the communist candidate, Gennady Zyuganov. But Yeltsin fought back with everything he had. Slick Western-style advertising, Western consultants, generous help from the oligarchs, and above all, using the newly emerging television networks. If you want to learn more of that era, I recommend you watch a very good American movie called Spinning Boris. It was made. It showed 1996 elections in details and fairly accurate. The election of 1996 was very close. It was controversial, but it was competitive. It was real. It was unpredictable. Yeltsin ended up winning, but it was not coronation. He was not the Tsar, he was just the president. The 90s taught Russians something important. Elections could actually matter. Politicians had to campaign, had to persuade, had to make promises. Well, some of them, well, most of them, they didn't keep. Whether they kept them or not, and then they didn't keep most of them, but at least that was beginning of polishing of the political process in Russia. That felt like a different universe compared to today. And I call those years the freedom years, the wonder years, probably the best years Russia has ever had. Now, before I go to the 2000s, I would like to take this opportunity and thank you. Thank you so much for all your support. Thank you for watching, for liking, for commenting, for praying along with me and sending you love, for buying me coffee at buymecoffee.com, for PayPal, for Patreon. This channel is what I stand for. Despite tremendous pressure from Russian state, from Russian secret police, and from Google, I promise that I will continue sharing the truth with the world. Thank you very much. Now, friends, let's enter Putin's Russia. That's when things started going sour. Starting 2000, his first election victory still had elements of competition, but the direction quickly changed. The Kremlin's strategy became clear, to keep the elections as a ritual, remove their unpredictability. Hey, Putin claimed that the biggest tragedy of the 20th century was the destruction of the USSR. Not World War I, not World War II, not other wars, but the destruction of the USSR. And he started rebuilding the USSR early on. It's just very few of us understood back then. What did he do first? He started taking the control of the elections. Step number one, he dismissed the elections of governors. Instead of being elected, governors of Russian provinces started getting nominated, given jobs by the Kremlin. That was major step number one. And other steps followed. Putin started changing the system, not aggressively and quickly. No, it doesn't work like that. He started small step by small step. He started boiling the frog. Independent TV channels like NTV and ORT were slowly but strategically brought under the state control. United Russia Party was born and built up as the party of the power, the party of the government, swallowing governors, mayors, and regional elites. At the same time, real opposition parties were squeezed out. Now, I remember the process quite well. It started in 2002, and, the rest is history. By the mid-2000s, only a handful of systemic opposition, that's how it's called in Russia, systemic opposition parties, remained. the communists ЛДПР, and Справедливая Россия, the Just Russia. They were allowed to exist on the condition not to challenge power of the Kremlin, but to create an illusion of political pluralism. Again, I clearly remember those times. We all understood what was going on, but we were not politically active. We were sitting on our butts doing nothing. And we're paying for that now. Now, 2003 parliamentary elections were a turning point. United Russia political party secured dominance, and election fraud, ballot stuffing, carousel voting, was already becoming standard practice, unfortunately. By 2008, the transition of power, when Vladimir Putin handed the presidency to Dmitry Medvedev and became prime minister, elections had lost much of their meaning. Yes, they were campaigns. Yes, they were debates. But the outcome was never in doubt. And by the way, Vladimir Putin never ever took a part in any public debates. He's always acted above the debates. Just a small detail. Russia had entered the age of what is called sometimes managed democracy. Elections existed, but the Kremlin managed to ensure stability and continuity of the elections. That element of uncertainty and political campaigning and political competition was out. The staged democracy. It was happening in front of my eyes. 2010s, protests, crackdowns, and the death of competition. The 2010s began with Russia still pretending to have political pluralism, but cracks started to appear, big ones, the ones that could not be just patched up. In 2011, and I call it the turning point of Russia, the parliamentary elections were absolutely blatantly rigged. So much so that tens of thousands of people poured into the streets of Moscow and other cities to protest. You might have heard of Bolotnaya Square protests. I was there. I witnessed it. It was probably Russia's biggest protest, not in terms of number of people. The bigger protests followed after, but in terms of energy, in terms of force in that protest. Again, I was there, I witnessed. These demonstrations were the largest since 90s, late 80s, when demonstrations were actually allowed in the USSR, in early 90s. For a moment, it seemed like the civil society might force the Kremlin to loosen control. Instead, the opposite happened. Putin returned to the presidency in 2012, and the state started hitting back, striking back. The state responded with a full and complete crackdown. And again, I was witnessing it, and I was angry. But again, I was sitting on my butt. Laws on foreign agents were introduced, independent media was suffocated, and opposition leaders were systematically neutralized. And I mean neutralized. Boris Nemtsov was murdered right next to the Kremlin, where surveillance is 100%, every square centimeter is covered by video surveillance. He was murdered right there. Alexei Navalny became the most prominent figure of genuine opposition. But he was repeatedly arrested, harassed, banned from elections, and eventually imprisoned and murdered, poisoned. By the mid-2010s, elections had become predictable theater. United Russia political party always won. The governors were appointed from above, from the Kremlin, rather than being truly elected. Regional elections were allowed, but only with hand-picked candidates, and still the same system exists. The protests of 2011-2012 taught the Kremlin a very important lesson. Don't allow even the illusion of competition to get out of hand. And so by the end of the decade, by 2020, Russia's elections were hollow rituals designed only to legitimize Putin's rule. Now, the last era, and I call it the era of political theater, political performance, 2020s, now. The current decade has removed any remaining doubt. Russian elections are no longer about choice, but about performance. The 2020 constitutional amendments extended Putin's rule until 2036, effectively eliminating term limits. Some say, well, it's a normal constitutional process, and some say that's a coup. Anyway, the Russian constitution has been changed. Any pretense of fair competition disappeared. Opposition candidates were jailed, exiled, disqualified on different technical requirements. Basically, they were forced to abandon the political process inside Russia if they remained inside Russia, or they've been forced to leave Russia to stay safe. Navalny's movement, his political party, was declared extremist, and even mention it in Russia, it can land one in prison. Independent observers were banned from political process, from watching the elections, from polling stations. And by the way, I voted in 2020, and I actually made a video about that process. So if you want to see how the Russian election process looks on the inside, please check out the link. It's a very old video, 5 years old. I'm gonna put it right here. Interesting. I was eventually kicked out by the cops, although they didn't have right to do that, as any citizen of Russia can come in and film and take pictures of anything he or she wants to at the polling stations. But I was kicked out, and now I think I was lucky that I was not arrested and jailed. Now, the elections in 2020s are carefully staged shows now. Candidates are chosen in advance, the turnout is manipulated, and results are basically pre-written. What matters is not the outcome, it's the spectacle. The show, the performance, spectacle. Yeah, I think that's the right word. State media shows high turnout, makes it a show on TV. It shows patriotic voters giving interviews and a united nation rallying behind its leader, the Tsar Vladimir Putin. Every time it's a show. And a lot of people in Russia actually like it. But most inside Russia know their vote doesn't change anything. Well, they are very sure of that. By 2025, Russia has come full circle, but actually it's a reverse circle. The 90s opened the door to political competition, and 30 years later, that door is firmly shut. Today's elections are about control and not about choice. They exist only to show loyalty to the system, not even close to challenging it. Challenging the system is considered a sin in Russia. Now, I've given you a brief history of what has happened to Russia over 30 years, how it has come this electoral circle, full circle, okay? And now, let's take a look at the results of what happened on September 14th, 2025. Remember, I said in the beginning of the live stream that you're going to like it. September 14th is one of the nationwide election day. Actually, it's not one off, it's just one nationwide election day. All elections of all levels happen on second Sunday of September. The election system was changed as a step on the way to bring Russia back into the USSR. It was changed with a sole political reason to eliminate competition and to give the process control from the powers to be. It was done for political control. The Kremlin sought to reduce the number of unexpected local surprises. They were in the past. Independent candidates, sometimes they ran against the United Russia Party candidates, against the Kremlin nominees, and very rarely, but on a few occasions, they actually won. So to reduce that number of unexpected surprises, that all different days were on federal level as a federal law were made just one unified day of all elections in Russia. So elections in the past were held at different times in different regions, and they could cause a resonance. People could actually talk about the elections if they didn't like the results, if they felt like they were lied to and they were manipulated. So one day of voting makes it possible to dissolve local protest campaigns in the general agenda. It's much easier to control the process. So second Sunday of September it is, and a couple days ago, 20 gubernatorial elections were held. I won't give you much details on these particular elections, just on one, in Rostov, because I'm aware of what was going on there. I was watching closely province where I come from. Now, instead, most of these gubernatorial elections, I'll give you the results. And I think they're pretty much self-explanatory. In Perm province, in the Urals, the incumbent governor Dmitry Makhonin won. He scored 70.94% of the votes. In Bryansk province, the incumbent governor Alexander Bogomaz won the election with the score of 78.78% of all votes. 78, that's a pretty number, In Sverdlovsk province, the acting governor Denis Pasler won with 61.3%. In Kursk province, the acting governor Alexander Hinstein won the race with 86.92%. Previous governor of Kursk province was arrested on charge of corruption and is awaiting trial in the KGB prison in Moscow. In Archangel province, the incumbent governor Alexander Tsibulsky won the race. Well, I shouldn't really be saying the race. He won the election with a vote of 67.32%. In the Jewish autonomous region, yes, there's the province called the Jewish Autonomous Region of Russia. Maria Kostyuk, the acting head of the province, won with 83.02% of all votes. In Kamchatka territory or Kamchatka province, the incumbent governor Vladimir Solodov won with 62.97%. Very modest number. In Sevastopol, Mikhail Razvazhaev, the incumbent governor, won with 81.72% of all votes. In Leningrad region, the incumbent governor Alexander Drozdenko won the elections with 84.21% of all votes. In Orenburg province, the acting head of the province, Yevgeny Sontsev, won with 83.85% of all votes. 85. Very pretty number. In Komi, the Republic of Komi, the acting head of the republic, Rostislav Goldstein, won with 70.04% of all votes. In Kostroma province, the incumbent governor, Sergei Sitnikov, won with 67.63% of all votes. In Chuvashia, the incumbent governor, self-nominated Oleg Nikolaev, won with 67.06% of all votes. In Novgorod province, acting governor Alexander Dronov won with 62.19%. In Tambov province, not too far from the border of Russia, of Ukraine, I'm sorry. Let me take the sip of this wonderful English tea. So in Tambov province, acting head of the province, Yevgeny Pervyshov, won with 73.84% of all votes. In Irkutsk province, the incumbent governor Igor Kobzev won with 60.79% of all votes. I'm getting tired telling all these votes, all these names, and 80, 70, 80%. In Tatarstan, the Republic of Tatarstan, one of Russia's strongest, richest, and most powerful provinces, the incumbent head of the republic, Rustam Minikhanov, won with 88.09%. In Krasnodar province, the incumbent governor, Veniamin Kondratiev, won with 83.41%. They counted around 98% of the ballots, so this is not final, but 83.41, it doesn't leave a choice to anyone else. In Kaluga province, the incumbent governor Vladislav Shapsha won with 72.24% of the votes. In Rostov province, acting governor Yuri Slusar won with 81.25% of the votes. I know a little bit of what happened in Rostov. The thing is, there was no competition. I know more details than in other provinces. There was no competition. Technically, they were other competitors, political competitors, registered, and they participated in this political campaign, we can call it this way. But, in the movies, they have certain actors who don't speak, who just make up the masses of people. They're called extras. So basically, in Russian political process, there are extras. They pretend that they are real politicians. They're registered as the candidates, but then we end up getting 80%, 88%, 75%, and so forth. So in Rostov, if you travel to Rostov this past summer, you would not see anyone except for Yuri Slusar. He's basically, there were other candidates on paper, but in reality, there was no one except for Slusar. All advertisement was Slusar. He was backed by pretty much everyone. There was tons of attention, interviews, media exposure, and that was it. No one had a chance, and I'm pretty sure if people got so upset, even if there was a slightest threat to Slusar or any other, incumbent governor or candidate, that threat would be eliminated instantly. Okay, all people named in the list, all those who scored 72, 88, 86, 83%, are members of the United Russia political party with Vladimir Putin as the party's leader. All elections went smoothly. There hasn't been any protesting. I have not heard of any incidents. And one one detail that stands these elections out is that Russian authorities have been extensively testing the new system of voting. When a person does not need to be present at the polls, it's called online voting system. I think very soon people will even not go to actually physically vote. Everything in Russia will be done electronically, and it's funny, funny and sad at the same time, because who can control Russian government? Who can control the fairness of this process? No one, obviously. We understand why they're implementing this electronic system. Now, I don't really want to comment this election results that I just gave you. To me, all of those numbers are very self-explanatory. I'd like to ask you, what do you think of the results? Are they possible in your countries? Let me know in the comments where you're from and whether it's possible in your country or not. It'd be very interesting for me to know. Now, I want my today's message be a warning to you. Watch your politicians. Do not let control over your politicians slip out of your hands. Be politically active. Stay educated. Stay active. Because if you are not, if you let somebody else decide for you, like they decide in Russia 100%, then one day you wake up and instead of, when you look out of the window, instead of your country, you will see that you woke up in Russia with election results predetermined for you. And you'd see 80% in your country in no time. I know. It's happened over the course of less than 30 years. And to us, it's been like a blink of an eye. Please learn from our mistakes. Do not make your own. Thank you. Now, if you would like to hear more stories like this, with more details, perhaps personal details, my personal takes on them, consider joining Formula 54. This is something I have come up with. This is 54 news that I carefully select and present to patrons of Inside Russia every single week, 9 news a day. The news that I myself select, that I find significant, I find matter, and I make them available to patrons. So if you always wanted to know what is happening in Russia, things that you most likely can't find in the mainstream media, consider becoming patron. Give it a chance. Now you know where to look for. Thank you so very much for letting me share my opinion with you, letting me share my message with you. I would like to ask you not to sign off, but instead continue in the live stream chat. I'm going to turn it on right now. We have about 25 minutes. By the way, this is the most favorite part of any stream for me. I absolutely love to turn on a live stream chat and see that the screen explodes with real people's names and comments and questions. I will try to answer as many questions as I can. And if you're here for the first time, I would like to tell you that Inside Russia is the best community on internet. It has the best moderation team. Lorna, Mammy K, Bob S, Harry Potman, and Amir Fazad, who keep this community clean, pleasant, and fantastic. Thank you, friends. Just want to let you know one more time that no one can find better moderators than you are. Thank you. A live stream chat is on. The last thing is, if you want me to see your message easier, please put it in all caps and put it in put Inside Russia after @ so I see your message highlighted in large orange box. It's much easier for me to see it. Thank you. If I don't, if I skip your question or comment, it doesn't mean that I don't like you and I ignore you. It means that there are so many messages, and just keep on posting, and sooner or later I notice it. And the last thing, the rules are very simple. Be nice to each other. No insults, no discussion of US politics. It's always a big fight. So let's stick to Russia elections, and I'm ready to answer your questions. Thank you, friends. I don't know if you noticed or not, but not a big crowd today, about 1,100 people. YouTube has been demoting my channel, demoting my videos for the reason unknown. I am making honest videos. I am giving honest information, and the audience is falling. So very odd. Harry, howdy, good to see you. Lorna, Bob, fantastic that you could join us today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Matter Better, hey gang, howdy. Leitmotif, hello, hello. The usual suspects, fantastic to see everyone. Thanks for not leaving this channel. Thanks for sticking around. As you see, not too many people left. Guy, good to see you. Pinda the Peanut, Jodes, Scott, Heaven's Blade, Trollmaster, hello. Pamela, Ronnie, Sam the Legend K, Kermo, Lilith Eden, William. I like this guy. I like your comments. I keep noticing them, you know. I like this guy. Thank you so much. I like you, William, too. Thank you. By the way, cheers. Wonderful English breakfast tea at midnight in Tashkent in Uzbekistan. So now let's jump to the live stream chat. By the way, tomorrow, as usual, weekly economic review from Russia, of Russia. Quite a few interesting news happened over the last week, and I'm going to be reviewing them tomorrow, so please tune in. Matter better. I feel in any country seeing what we have seen in the past decade, any election can be bought or messed with. Sorry about the name, can change till tomorrow. I was wrong. Can change it. Okay, thanks for the comment. Mel Nell, are elections compulsory in Russia, or do some people just not vote? They're not mandatory on paper, but again, Russia is the country of double standards. On paper, you don't. It's your right to vote or not to vote. In reality, they cannot afford too many Russians not voting. So what they do is to pretend everything is well in Russia. They force all employees, federal employees, who get paid from the federal budget, they force them to go and vote. They force them. How can you force a school teacher saying, hey, you know what? You must show at the polls tomorrow. You have to, you will have to sign off. Someone will count you. And if you don't, you're going to lose your job. You'd be on your way out. They do it not just a teacher as an example. They do it to everyone. The doctors, the bureaucrats, the police, the army, everyone who gets paid by the federal budget cannot not vote. Let's put it this way. Thomas, maybe it's the day of the week that the number of viewers are low, but the number of subscribers remain high at 397. Thomas, good to see you. Thank you for coming. The number of subscribers, 397. Subscribers don't really matter that much. The rate of new subscribers matters. It means like how many people subscribe to the channel like every day or every week combined or every month. It shows whether the content is interesting or not. If it's interesting, if it's useful, informative, then people who watch it once, they subscribe, okay? And the number of viewers, imagine those people who signed up, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago. They probably don't even watch the channel any longer. They're perhaps not on YouTube. They're inactive subscribers, so to speak. Maybe it's the day of the week. You know what? 1,100 viewers. This is the lowest I remember in 3.5 years. I think it's a very interesting topic about Russian elections. Why? I have no clue. Why there are so few people today. I think it's YouTube is just not letting notifications out, and somehow it's demoting my content, and it's very sad. I am very scared of that happening because YouTube is my voice. I want to be heard. I'm not earning anything off Google. I'm demonetized, and on top of that, it's silencing my voice, which is kind of sad. I don't know what to tell you. That's a tragedy for me, my personal tragedy. Tyler Douglas, I liked the message today, as every day. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it. So, I'd like to ask you a favor. If you haven't liked this message, please do so. It just helps the algorithm. It's just tiny little bit to kind of promote the video to others. And if you have nothing to say in the comments after the end of the live stream, then just leave a comment saying something nice or for the algorithm or, you know. So there are more comments that helps the channel as well. Karolis, there are still penguins in Klaipeda. One of my biggest shock was to see a real penguin because I had not traveled outside of Rostov except for Crimea until I was 12 years old. My father was born and raised in Crimea in a mountainous village, and we had family there, distant family, so we would vacation there a few times. We vacationed. And that was it. Other than that, I had not been out of Rostov. And I read a lot about the world. I studied, I knew everything. And then I get to Klaipeda. They used to call it Klaipeda. And there's a huge aquarium, all kinds of sea animals and fish. And I saw real penguins, which was like a shock. So I'm glad they're still there. I remember three things. First time I tried octopus. Second was the penguins, and the third, I remember the smell of the Baltic Sea. This incredible smell, and this first time I saw anything other than the Black Sea and the Sea of Azov. Janice Burgess, howdy howdy. The warning has never been as needed as it is now. Well, look at us. Do not make your own mistakes. Look at us. Look how foolish we have been. Don't repeat our mistakes. Learn from our experiences. Terry from Pulaski, Virginia, as usual. I've seen similar during election night here and there with similar results. Terry, with all my due respect to you, you haven't seen anything like they do in Russia. Okay, in the USA it's different. I know you might not like it. I don't want to discuss it here, but Russia is in a league of its own. Melnel, howdy howdy. Thank you for coming. Good to see you. Seika, long time no see. Andreas, guten Abend. Didi Jong, howdy. Good to see you. Deborah from sunny California. Thank you for the hugs. Thanks for the information. Fadar, thank you for bringing facts with your experience to the attention of people that would probably know otherwise. I have made a habit out of watching and learning from your coverage, Travis. Thank you very much, Travis. Much appreciated. I guess watching is needed now. The most of it. More than ever. That's the right word. More than ever. Usually, a couple streams are like that when my sound was messed up, but from what I understand, sound is okay now. Usually, a couple streams are. Yeah, sound is perfect. Picture is okay. Very odd. Ooh. Pamela in the house. I've seen comments from Pamela, I think, earlier today in Patreon. Sheldon, good to see you. Um, Mater Bater, I've heard of others having a lower view count. People think YouTube changed something on the back end and tell creators, or because people are back in school. I don't know. Pamela, if you're not here, something is up. No, Pamela is here. Um, Guy, I suppose the rigging of the computer voting system is cheaper than paying off voting slip box stuff in officials. Are the amount of voting numbers also fudged? I think they are. Okay. The thing is, Guy, I think you're off a little bit. Perhaps rigging of the computer voting system is cheaper, but these people, to them, paying off the officials is just peanuts. Not even peanuts, not even pocket change. It's dust. Okay. So I think they will control both electronic system and the officials. Um, because, if you give up control of people who are at the polls and rely on the electronic system, what something goes wrong with the electronic system? Okay, so they will definitely expand, but they will not abandon the polls. They will be there. It's just most of voting will be done electronically. And these people have so much money. The entire country's budget, all the riches, all the oil and gas at their disposal. Think of that. David Bowen, as an old saying goes, it's not how you play the game, it's how you can't count the points. I've never heard this old saying, but I think you're absolutely right, and the saying is right. Pamela, yesterday was really good. Um, I'm glad you liked it. Richard Burris, whoa, long time no see. Howdy, friend. Good to see you. Good to see that you are still with us, still part of Inside Russia. Hannah Wilkins, good to see you. We have about 10 minutes to go. I didn't get notification, so was late. Ronnie, well, thank you for coming anyway. Even being late doesn't matter. Kev Sullivan, do you know the percentage of viewers per country? Yes, I do. YouTube gives me the statistics. All English-speaking countries, the majority of viewers. The United States, the UK, Canada, Australia. Is election day a public holiday to allow all people to get to the polls? No, it's not. It's just a regular Sunday. Are poll stations easy to reach? Yes, they are. Usually they are at schools, local schools. And if the schools are not available, they are in the local administrations or local governments or medical clinics. Very easy to reach. They do a very good job telling you how to get there. Okay, there's no question about that. Now, if the elections were fair, Russia would have the best system in the world in terms of convenience. Okay, but it all renders useless because it's all rigged. What is the ratio of voters per polling station? That I cannot give you. They were independent reviewers, independent checkers at every poll station, the local activists, and now they've been kicked out. Janice Burgess, has there ever been mail-in voting in Russia? No, there hasn't been. What they do is, like Russian citizens abroad can go to the embassies a week before and vote there. So they give us outside Russia some time to vote, like a few days extra. Um, Kit, YouTube is doing it to so many channels who speak the truth about almost anything. Well, it's scary and discouraging. That's that's what I can tell you. You know, I'm putting so many efforts, so much time. I'm putting my entire life into this channel. Nel Mel, I've heard of other channels where the numbers are down as well. I hope it's just an oversight and not intentional, but I have suspicions. Linda from Norway. Howdy, good to see you. Badroid, howdy. Thank you so much. Thank you. Wonderful to hear good words. Censorship. I'm really scared that they made a deal in Alaska while meeting Putin and Trump. You know, and one of the part of the deals is to suppress anti-Russian government, media, basically media who tells the truth about Russia. I'm really this is a concern and a fear that I have. There might be a press conference on American TV that has distracted your American subscribers. Kev, thank you so much. It could be. It's usually like Super Bowl, things like that. But the American viewers, tell me, is there anything going on right now in America? It wasn't a penguin, it was just a well dressed bird. Pinda the Peanut. Years ago, I asked if Russia would fall apart in different states, countries. You said not likely. What's your position now? Well, you're putting me on the spot here, which I don't mind, by the way. Now, my position is more likely than before. It's really hard to say if they keep on doing what they're doing economically to Russia, then it's on the way there. It's on the tracks, going perhaps not full forward at full speed, but it's going fast. It's heading towards China, and I was for some time I thought that China would just annex some territories. Now I'm thinking that China doesn't need to do that. It will use soft power to control Russia. Okay. But anyway, Pinda, answering your question. It's actually a very good question. Perhaps an idea for a live stream, dedicated live stream in the future. So thank you. I'll keep on tuning in. I know you do. Thank you. Ronnie, I got message asking you're interested in this, which I replied yes. Not sure what you mean. Radar Cortex, thank you for coming. Are the people in Kaliningrad treated identically to those in the rest of Russia? Are they as strict there? Yes, they're treated absolutely. Kaliningrad is part of Russia, has been since 1945, and absolutely there's no difference. There are differences, like perhaps some things in Kaliningrad cost more because everything is imported from mainland Russia, but that price is a bit different. Perhaps higher prices for apartments. I know lots of Russians move to Kaliningrad because it's like living in Europe. Every single person I've spoken with who's been to Kaliningrad absolutely loves it. Königsberg, that's what it is. Remember to link your voting video from 2020 you mentioned. I did. I will, Pamela. I will. I will do so right after the live stream. I usually do that. Ron Gravel. Whoa, long time no see, Ron. Thank you. Angie, good to see you. Andreas again. Uh, just random guy from Germany. Good Abend. Sadly, the history of elections in Russia is not a surprising topic, pretty standard in every authoritarian ruled country. Let's take that as a message to uninformed, though I fear they don't listen. Well, at least I'm trying. At least I'm trying to get the information out there. At least there are people like you're watching right now. I hope that you get the message. I hope it makes you think. I hope that when you need to make a decision to vote, you'll remember me. Oh, Konstantin told us of this horrific situation in Russia. The full circle that's gone. And perhaps it'll motivate you to go and vote, to go do something. So that's what I'm hoping. Melnil, please don't forget your voting video link. I don't know, Lorna, do you remember? Harry, you must remember too how I voted. But anyway, I'll do that. I promise. I'll do that right away. And after that, I'll make a daily snippet. Hector Bambino from California. Hector, good afternoon. Well, good morning in your case. Good late morning. Fantastic to see someone from California. We have no, is she here? I believe. Deborah is here. So we have Deborah from sunny California, and now we have Hector. Where in California are you from? I went to school in near Sacramento in Davis. Not for long, but for a summer session, for a semester. And I've been a few times to Southern California. D. Jong, a personal question. Have you ever voted in your life? If it's a personal question to me, I have. I have a video to prove, but I have voted quite a few times in my life, yes. We're running out of time. Couple minutes, and that is it. Miss Me Don from Miss Me Own Un from Helsinki. Hello. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. Deborah, yes. Thank you. Kharkiv will hold. Howdy, friend. Please forgive us. What a terrible tragedy. I have faith, too, that Kharkiv will hold. Back in 2007, I created, I was inside my company who created Design Institute. We designed power plants. At the peak performance, we had 600 people, 600 design engineers. So I was the one who started developing that project, and I've traveled to Kharkiv quite a few times, and I have quite a few stories about this wonderful city. VK Amodio. How long does Putin have? That's a $1 trillion question. Konstantin needs an office. Sam, I really need a home. That's what I need. I need a country. That's what I need. Andrew Hodson, howdy. Guy, thank you for stopping by. Good to see you. Goodbye. Elsha, good to see you. Denise Abbott, I'm back, not great. We keep on praying for you. Please get better. Richard Burris, have you seen any movies in Uzbekistan theaters or on TV? Well, there's IMAX here, so I've seen Dune 2 on IMAX and a couple other movies on IMAX. IMAX is just regular IMAX, huge, fantastic stuff. And there are plenty of movie theaters. I have watched movies in movie theaters. Not often, once in a while. I don't really have much time, but, perhaps once a month, a couple months. But it's like I usually date with my wife. Watch TV. I really like Inside Russia channel consumes all my time. I don't really have much time to watch TV. Bob S., thank you so much. And one more question, and that's it. Kev Sullivan, the governor of Utah and the attorney general of Utah had a national news conference. Okay, well, perhaps that is. Has been any kind of reaction in Russia to what happened in Nepal? I think the Russian officials are not easy about what happened in Nepal. They see that people can't act. Tom W. How's my favorite YouTuber? Thank you, friend. Thank you so much. The pillar of Inside Russia. Everyone meet Tom W. DCDK, howdy indeed. Just listening and watching in these crazy times of ours. Yes, you're right. Okay. Thomas Elliott, I would wait and see how many views will be there in the next couple days. We'll see. Friends, thank you for coming. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for listening to the message. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and just, by the way, favor, if you can share this message on your social networks, can you please do that so more people watch this message? Yeah, so anyway, time to pray. This is my praying list, as usual, and let's do that. Thank you so very much, dear Lord Jesus Christ. Thank you for all the food that you've placed on our tables and roofs you've given over our heads. Thank you for the love in our lives. Thank you for our loved ones, families, and children. And please give us wisdom to keep our children, the skies above our children's heads safe and peaceful. Please give us wisdom to raise our children so when they grow up, they will make this world a better place and will never ever fight in any wars. For now, please keep our children safe and healthy. Dear Lord, I am asking to help Ukraine. I am asking to stop the bloodshed. The country has suffered so much. Thank you. Dear Lord, please help every Ukrainian who has suffered from this terrible tragedy. Answer the prayers and make their wishes come true. Reach out and touch hearts and souls of those who are responsible for this terrible tragedy and make them make decision to stop the war. Make them wake up from the lethargic sleep. Make them remember that they're still human beings with love in their hearts. So they make that decision to stop the bloodshed. And please help my country, Russia. Assemble your strongest angels with sharpest swords. Have Saint Michael lead this heavenly army of yours to the earth to get rid of the demons who have hijacked my country, who we know by their names and by their faces. Please send your strong angels to help Russian people, good Russian people, to run Russia, to make it peaceful, respecting, and good. Please send safety to everyone who is traveling. Send them safe travels. Send safety to those who are in danger of any kind right now. Send them safe harbors. Uh, Please help those who are seeking for any kind of asylum. Send good people their way to help. And please help single mothers and fathers who are struggling trying to make their ends meet, raising their children. Please also send help their way. Dear Lord, please help those who are helping Ukrainians and help those Ukrainians who are currently under attacks of Russian weapons. Send them safety. I am asking you for all who are cold, sick, addicted, homeless, jobless, depressed, losing their faith, crying, feeling betrayed, whose hearts are bleeding right now, who are going through divorces, who are unable to see their children, who feel betrayed and left behind, who feel alone in this world. Dear Lord, please reach out and touch the heart of every person in need to give them hope, to show your love, to show that you're still with them, that you haven't not left them, you still love them, you watch every step they take. Please help everyone who is in need. Dear Lord, thank you so much for allowing us to come together in this virtual community, which has become a real community of real people. And thank you for allowing us to pray together. Thank you for everyone who is praying along with me, 1,000 people, and thank you for everyone who is simply watching us pray. I am asking to make everyone's wishes come true and answer everyone's prayer. Dear Lord, I have a few people who need your help, and I'm asking you to help them in the way they need help, in the way that you know how to help them. They are Karen, Uliyun, Victor Garishan, Rod, TMBC, Larry, Daniela Fromm and her family, Janice, Rose Bronicky, Karsten, Teresa D., Ron Bazoid, Ann Larson, Anna, Jeffrey S. and his family, Katharina Holmes, Mark Rutan, Tom W., J.R. McKim, Gabing with Gary, Lisa, Harry, Terry, John, Linda, Paula W., Dennis, Jason Carney, Susie Mailer, Tim, Dory, Rhonda, John, Taylor, Wayne, Darlan, George Ruberty, Pamela, Meta Spencer, David Porter, his family, and everyone who is in Chernovtsi, Ukraine, Leif, Randolph, Grace, Dean Spooner and his church, Yelena, Natasha, Michael, Jake, Oля, Dasha, Sky, Svetlana, Sergey, Liz, Ron, Liz, Koshkin Dom, Sandra, Mike and Mike, Petra, Joseph, Millie, Jodes, Philip, Eileen, Randy, Highwayman, Jeff Gibson, Derek Martinez, Janice Burgess, Renate, and Denise Abbott. Thank you so much, dear Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Thank you, friends. Fantastic to see everyone. Fantastic to see that you've come and given me a chance. Thank you very much. If you want to be added to the prayers list, please right here. Usually the moderators watch and they let me know after the end of the live stream. Thank you, friends. Thank you. You're awesome and you rock. Please come back tomorrow for economic review. And there are big things happen in Russia economically in the last week, and I'm going to review them, and I'm going to give you lots of interesting information. So thank you so much. Before I sign off, as usual, I'm asking you to say along with me out loud as you can the following. Carthago delenda est.